In his 2013 book The Liberty Amendments, Mark Levin proposes establishing 12-year term limits for justices. Under Levin's proposal, justices would serve a single 12-year term rather than holding lifetime appointments. To transition to this system gradually, current justices would be grandfathered and exempt from term limits. Newly appointed justices would be restricted to 12-year terms. Levin also proposes capping the number of justices a president can appoint per 4-year term, likely to 2, to phase in turnover. Once fully implemented, term limits would bring regular rotation of justices and new perspectives to the court. Levin argues this would reduce the problem of justices serving into extreme old age and limit a single president's influence. Term limits would also curb the trend to punt legislative actions to the Supreme Court. Levin contends Congress has improperly deferred major controversies like abortion and Obamacare to the courts instead of legislating. Term limits could reinvigorate Congress to take on more responsibility for crafting compromises on divisive issues, rather than relying on unilateral court rulings. Critics counter that term limits would undercut judicial independence by making the court more political, but is that possible at the current trajectory? Levin believes 12-year limits would maintain judiciary independence while restoring crucial checks and balances between the three branches of government. Some argue that expanding the number of Supreme Court justices as an alternative to bring new perspectives to the court. However, drastically increasing the size of the court risks making it seem like a partisan institution that grows based on whichever political party holds power at the time. This could severely undermine the court's credibility and independence. Term limits would avoid the pitfalls of court packing while still achieving the goal of regular turnover on the court. With 12-year term limits phased in gradually, justices would rotate off the bench over time in a predictable, apolitical manner. The size of the court would remain stable, preserving its history and legitimacy. While expanding the court is an option some have proposed, term limits may present a superior solution for injecting fresh ideas onto the Supreme Court while avoiding partisan instability. As debates continue over reforming the Supreme Court, term limits provide an intriguing option for regular turnover and changes on the bench. The gradual transition plan makes the change more feasible and allows time to assess its impacts on the court. What do you think? Would some sort of term limit be better than adding justices?